Today, crossing a border without a passport can leave you stranded in an airport, denied entry to a country, or even sent back home. Yet for thousands of years, people traveled across continents without carrying one. Merchants crossed deserts. Pilgrims walked thousands of kilometers. Explorers sailed into unknown oceans. Armies marched across entire empires. So why do we now need a small booklet just to cross an invisible line on a map? And who was the first person to create the passport? The answer is much older than most people imagine. It reaches back more than 2,500 years, to one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen. But this story doesn't begin there. It begins with a simple problem. How do you prove that you're not an enemy? Imagine you're traveling through an ancient kingdom. There are no driver's licenses, no identity cards, no photographs, no computers. Nobody knows who you are. To every guard you meet, you're simply a stranger, and strangers could be dangerous. Bandits disguised themselves as merchants. Spies pretended to be travelers. Assassins crossed borders unnoticed. Kings quickly realized they needed a way to identify trusted people. That small idea would eventually change how every human being travels. But there was one problem. The world had no countries as we know them today. Instead, it was divided into kingdoms and empires. One of the largest was the Persian Empire. Founded by Cyrus the Great around 550 BC, it stretched across 3 continents. At its peak, it controlled territory from modern-day Egypt to India. Millions of people lived under Persian rule. Managing such a vast empire wasn't easy. Messages had to travel enormous distances. Officials moved constantly between provinces. Governors needed permission to pass through different regions. The empire needed trust. It needed proof. And that's where one of history's earliest travel documents appears. One of the oldest written examples comes from a surprising place: the Bible. In the book of Nehemiah, written during the 5th century BC, when Nehemiah asked permission to travel from Persia to Jerusalem, the king did something remarkable. He gave him official letters addressed to governors along the journey. The letters instructed local officials to allow Nehemiah safe passage and even provide him with timber for rebuilding Jerusalem's walls. Think about that. More than 2,400 years ago, a traveler carried an official document from a ruler asking others to let him pass safely. It wasn't called a passport, but it served almost exactly the same purpose. Historians often describe these letters as one of the earliest known examples of a safe conduct. Document the ancestor of today's passport. This decision seemed small at the time. It wasn't, because one piece of paper suddenly became more powerful than a sword. Instead of fighting his way through checkpoints, Nehemiah simply presented the king's authority. The document spoke for him, and that idea spread. As civilizations grew larger, rulers across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East began issuing similar documents. Some were carved onto clay tablets. Others were written on papyrus or parchment. Most carried an official seal. Without that seal, the document meant nothing. With it, doors opened. But that's only part of the story. Most individuals spent their entire lives within a few kilometers of where they were born. Travel was dangerous. Roads were poor. Bandits were everywhere. Crossing mountains or deserts could take months. Only merchants, soldiers, diplomats, religious pilgrims, and royal messengers traveled regularly, and almost all of them needed permission from someone powerful. As centuries passed, kingdoms rose and fell. The Roman Empire built thousands of kilometers of roads. Trade expanded. People moved farther than ever before. Yet identity remained difficult to prove. If someone claimed to be an ambassador from another kingdom, how could anyone know? Words weren't enough. Written authority became increasingly valuable. Then came the Middle Ages. Europe was divided into hundreds of kingdoms, duchies, and territories. Every border could mean new laws, new rulers, new dangers. Travelers often carried letters of safe conduct signed by kings, queens, bishops, or nobles. These documents promised protection. They requested that local officials allow the traveler to continue peacefully. In many ways, medieval passports were less about proving identity and more about requesting mercy. Imagine riding a horse through forests for weeks. Every few days, you encounter armed guards. One wrong decision could mean prison, or worse, a folded piece of parchment bearing the royal seal could mean the difference between life and death. Nobody expected what happened next. England began turning these letters into something more official. By the 15th century, English kings were regularly issuing documents allowing subjects to travel safely beyond the kingdom. One of the earliest references appears during the reign of King Henry V in the early 1400s. Many historians consider these royal documents to be the earliest direct ancestors of the modern passport. In fact, the word passport itself likely comes from the French words passer and port. Originally, it referred to permission to pass through a city's gates or a seaport. It wasn't permission to enter an entire country. It was permission simply to pass. Think about that. One word that began at city gates would eventually become essential for crossing international borders. As European exploration accelerated during the 15th and 16th centuries, the world became more connected than ever before. Ships sailed across oceans. Empires expanded. Trade routes linked continents. Travel was increasing, but so were fears. Pirates attacked merchant ships. European kingdoms competed for power. Religious wars divided entire populations. Governments became more interested in knowing exactly who was entering and leaving their territories. Passports slowly evolved from letters of protection into tools of control. This changed everything. By the 17th and 18th centuries, many European governments required travelers to obtain official permission before leaving. Some rulers wanted to stop spies. Others wanted to prevent soldiers from deserting. Some simply wanted to collect taxes more efficiently. Ordinary people rarely questioned these rules. Most never traveled far enough to need such documents. But then the world changed again. The Industrial Revolution arrived. Steamships crossed oceans faster than ever before. Railways connected cities. Factories created jobs hundreds of kilometers away. For the first time in history, ordinary people could realistically travel long distances. Millions began moving. Tourism was born. International business expanded. And governments faced an unexpected problem. The old passport systems were too slow, too complicated, too inconsistent. Ironically, many countries began removing passport requirements altogether. By the late 19th century, large parts of Europe allowed people to cross borders with little or no documentation. Some politicians believed passports belonged to an older age. They imagined a future where people could travel freely between nations. For a brief moment, it looked as though passports might disappear forever. But history had other plans. Because in 1914, a single assassination in the city of Sarajevo triggered a chain of events that transformed travel forever. Within weeks, Europe was at war. Borders closed. Suspicion replaced trust. And the simple travel document that many believed was becoming obsolete suddenly became one of the most important documents in the world. The modern passport was about to be born. The First World War changed everything. Between 1914 and 1918, more than 70 million military personnel were mobilized, and millions of civilians fled their homes. Europe became a continent of checkpoints, soldiers, and suspicion. Imagine trying to cross a border during those years. Every stranger could be a spy. Every traveler could be carrying secret military information. Governments could no longer rely on trust alone. They needed certainty. Almost overnight, countries brought passports back. Temporary wartime measures became permanent rules. Nobody expected what happened next. When the war ended in 1918, most people assumed passport requirements would disappear again, just as they had before. They didn't. Instead, governments discovered that passports offered something they had never truly possessed before: control. They could track who entered, who left, who stayed, and who didn't belong. The passport had quietly transformed from a letter of protection into an instrument of national security. But there was one problem. Every country designed its passport differently. Some were single sheets of paper, others were handwritten letters. Some were enormous, others were so small they could easily be lost. There was no standard. Travelers often carried documents that foreign officials struggled to read. Crossing borders became confusing. This changed everything. In 1920, representatives from dozens of countries gathered in Paris for a conference organized by the League of Nations. Their mission sounded simple: create one international standard for passports. The decisions made during that meeting still shape the passport in your pocket today. They agreed passports should resemble small booklets. They recommended including personal information in a consistent format. And for one very important reason, they introduced something that had never been required before: a photograph. Think about that. For thousands of years, rulers trusted written descriptions. Now, for the first time, your face became part of your identity. Early passport photos were surprisingly unusual. There were few rules. Some people smiled. Others wore elaborate hats. Some even posed with pets, bicycles, or family members. One traveler reportedly submitted a passport photograph while holding a tennis racket. Officials eventually realized they needed stricter standards. Slowly, the serious passport photo we know today became the global norm. But that's only part of the story. The passport wasn't changing because technology was improving. Technology was improving because passports demanded it. As international travel expanded after the Second World War, airports became busier every year. Commercial aviation connected continents like never before. In 1950, only a few million people flew internationally. By the end of the 20th century, that number had grown into hundreds of millions. Today, it reaches into the billions every year. Imagine inspecting every passport by hand. Lines would stretch for hours. Needed a faster solution. Then came computers. In the 1980s, machine-readable passports began appearing around the world. Those 2 rows of letters numbers, and symbols at the bottom of the identity page may look ordinary. They're not. That small strip allows computers to read your passport in seconds instead of minutes. A process that once depended entirely on human eyes became almost instant. This decision seemed small at the time. It wasn't. It made modern international air travel possible. Without it, today's airports would struggle to handle the number of passengers arriving every day. Then the 21st century brought another turning point. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001 changed global security forever. Countries tightened border controls. Passport security became one of the world's highest priorities. Fake documents had become increasingly sophisticated. Governments needed passports that were even harder to copy. The answer was hidden inside the cover. A tiny electronic chip. The electronic passport, often called the e-passport, stores encrypted information, including your identity and a digital version of your photograph. Some countries also store fingerprints or other biometric information. Your passport had evolved once again. Not just paper, not just ink, but advanced technology protected by encryption. Nobody expected what happened next. The passport became one of the most technologically advanced documents that most people own. Modern passports contain invisible security features, ultraviolet images, microprinting so small it can barely be seen, special fibers woven into the paper, laser engraving, complex holograms. Some contain dozens of different security measures working together. Counterfeiting one successfully has become extraordinarily difficult. Think about that. A small booklet that fits inside your pocket now contains technology developed over centuries of history, from royal seals pressed into wax to encrypted computer chips. But perhaps the most surprising change isn't technological at all. It's philosophical. For most of history, passports protected travelers. Today, they also define opportunity. The passport you hold can determine how easily you study abroad, where you work, which countries you can visit, and sometimes even how long you can stay. Some passports allow visa-free access to more than 190 destinations. Others require lengthy applications for nearly every journey. The same document serves everyone, yet it doesn't give everyone the same freedom. That reality has made passports one of the world's most powerful documents. And now, another transformation is already beginning. Several countries are testing digital travel credentials. Instead of carrying only a physical booklet, future travelers may store secure versions of their passports on their phones or digital devices. Biometric systems are becoming more advanced every year. Facial recognition already allows some passengers to pass through airport checkpoints without showing their passport every stage. The passport continues to evolve, just as it has for more than 2,000 years. But despite all the technology, the idea behind it hasn't really changed. A traveler still stands before a border. A government still asks one simple question: who are you? And the passport still answers. Think back to Nehemiah carrying a royal letter across the Persian Empire. He probably never imagined that one day billions of people would carry their own version of that document. Different shape, different language, different technology, but the same purpose: to ask for safe passage, to prove identity, to open a door that would otherwise remain closed. A simple letter from a king became a leather-bound booklet. That booklet became a machine-readable document, then an encrypted electronic device, and tomorrow, it may become entirely digital. Yet every modern passport still carries the same invisible promise that ancient rulers understood more than 2,400 years ago. Sometimes, the most powerful key in the world isn't made of metal. Sometimes, it's made of paper.